Hello to my personal top 10 of Manilla Road albums. So yeah, I just saw a video of two American guys doing that, and when I saw that and I saw their choices, my first thought was that's a kind of an American voting or rating or a choice of top 10 albums of Manilla Road. When I was on tour with Manilla Road between 2012 and 2017 was the last US tour, I noticed that some people, metalheads around between 20 and 40 or so, name albums that I personally would never mention at all. It's interesting, and that's why I thought, not because I was the drummer for many years, but to offer an European view on things here. Still, I loved that video where the two guys talk 45 minutes about Manilla Road, so no complaints here. Okay, let's start with my bonus. That's good old Mark of the Beast, later appeared on High Roller Records also as Dreams of Ashketon, which is the unreleased third album, which is now, of course, it feels like a real Manilla Road album after all these years, with this iconic cover artwork, with this great black and white cover artwork, but with a way better sound than this year. This was the third generation cassette here, and yeah, Mark didn't find the master tapes. To be honest, we found them more or less recently, but yeah, this is really a perfect quality. So that's my bonus, starting with that. So my number 10 is Mysterium from I think 2013 or 2012. I joined the band in late 2011, so I guess, yeah, this must have been 2013. We recorded it in Wichita in 2012, so yeah, 2012, 2013 should be correct here, yeah. And to me, this is why I was talking about the other two guys talking about Manilla Road albums. To me, this was not because of me only, or this was a return to some aesthetics and some special, maybe small trademarks in the Manilla Road music I love that returned for the first time here on this album again. And in later years, not later years, but the years on, people always told us that the lineup with first Josh, then Phil on bass, but yeah, this last two lineups with different bass players, if it would be just one bass player, it would be the last lineup. So since from 2011 to 2018, it was for some Manilla Road were sounding more like back in the old days, even on stage. And I think this already shows a little here. It's not that Mark was composing different or trying to sound old school. It was just that he checked my play, how I play, and I'm really influenced by especially Randy Fox. I mentioned that even in the 80s, when I was a teenage drummer, that he's one of my favorite drummers, and also it felt even natural to me to play in Manilla Road, where it's hard to explain that. So I think, and before me, all the drummers before me, between Randy and me, were all fucking great drummers. They just have a different approach on playing all that stuff, maybe even more modern, because they privately were more from other directions, but not the classic old school 80s metal like I am, or even 70s hard rock. So I think that was a change that showed in that album. I remember that I was a little disappointed because I thought, hey, that's a masterpiece that we did here, and goddamn, I'm on a Manilla Road album. This felt absolutely unreal. And yeah, and then the reviews were though, oh, it's cool, and oh, some wrote, of course, great album, but yeah, there were some where I was really, yeah, a little angry. And now years later, some people tell me I should have rated this album way better when I first heard it, but now 2 years later, or 3 years, or even more years later, I really love it. So check out Mysterium again. Yeah, number 9 with a handwritten letter from Brian, because he gave that original Leviathan Records copy to me. It's still sealed. This is what I did. I had a hard time getting this one here in Germany. So this is private here on the back. Yeah, this is my number 9. I was not a huge fan of this album in the 80s first. I loved some songs. Yeah, the more mellow, epic songs on that album was not all through thrash metal. Some people say, oh, this album is thrash metal. I think there is some Whitechapel for sure is mostly thrash metal, but there was already Up From the Crypt on Mystification before, and this was way more thrash than anything on this album, I would say. Yeah, but okay, it is all through. It is the heaviest. It should be the heaviest ManillaRoad album, and they looked even more mean here. Yeah, but when I got the first mix from the band did before they went over to a studio that David Chastain suggested, I got this mix on a master tape. I have them still here, and this album sounded way better than what we are used to from this or the Black Dragon pressing. And since then, I really love that album, Out of the Abyss. And yeah, so it became my number 9. Yeah, number 8. The second album of the last lineup with me. That's this ugly kid here. It's still Josh here on bass. And yeah, of course, Brian and Mark here. Yeah, The Blessed Curse with that kind of bonus LP after the Muse, which was, yeah, something really special. It was some acoustic songs. Yeah, it was not just me telling Mark that people love his acoustic stuff too. And yeah, then finally he also did a solo album, which just with only acoustic stuff, which is great, by the way. And yeah, this was this cover alone is worth the price for me. And yeah, I love that album even more, and it got better reviews than Mysterium back then. I remember it still was not that complete freak out in the press, and what always made me really angry was that, oh, it's not as good as Crystal Logic. I mean, there are a few years in between Crystal Logic and The Blessed Curse from, I think, 2015 it must be. Yeah. So yeah, this is another step back to another step to sounding like good old ManillaRoad, I would say. Yeah, it can't get more old ManillaRoad than this one, which is obviously, wait, 10, 9, 8, here my number 7, sorry. Invasion, the very first album recorded in 79, released in early 1980, and the only older thing we have is a radio show that was released as After Midnight Live, and the demo tape with 4 tracks that was found, yeah, I think 2 years ago, and was also finally released by High Roller Records. So this is the original pressing of Invasion, the first album, and of course, yeah, this is not really heavy metal. I mean, in 1980 there was not too much heavy metal. It was the year of heavy metal with albums like British Steel, the debut of Iron Maiden. There was a lot of stuff with Saxon Wheels of Steel. Okay, that all sounds British now. I don't know what was going on in America. There was Riot was around already, so yeah, for sure was some good old hard rock and early metal. So ManillaRoad, yeah, it is a kind, we would call it proto-metal today, what's going on here on Invasion. But there's the first real epic song on this one called The Empire. A song that we played in the last months of ManillaRoad before Mark Shelton went away unfortunately, we played the Empire, which was an absolute pleasure to do so. Yeah, and it's interesting to hear how this band started and how they developed through the 80s from this, yeah, really relaxed, here and there, really relaxed hard rock to, yeah, something like what we had before, Out of the Abyss. This is, yeah, really definitely an interesting path they were going. And yeah, as I'm a big fan of 70s rock. Yeah, let's say since the 90s, because I love the new wave of British heavy metal. So the next step was going back even more to the 70s rock. Hawkwind is one of my favorite bands, and yeah, of course, then I love Invasion. My next one is Mystification. We already talked about that. There was that thrash song on it, Up from the Crypt. But of course, it's yeah, the epic Dragon Star that is standing out. Haunted Palace, a song that drove me crazy. All the drums, because it's so weird and so insane. Randy Fox was or is insane. Yeah, absolutely. I love it because it's completely drumming freedom what he is preaching, not just on this album, in heavy metal, where there's so much, yeah, conservative thinking here and there, and yeah, he killed all that with that drumming. Yeah, and the good thing is that the bass play of Scott Park was the opposite of all that. He, like in Deep Purple, where Roger Glover is playing that the rhythm when in songs like Burn, Ian Pace is going crazy. You know, there is, and this is the same with Scott Park in the Randy Fox years of Manilla Road. Yeah, yeah, Mystification for sure is a great album, and for some reason it didn't have the impact anymore there here in Europe as the previous ones, the Deluge, but also especially Open the Gates. But yeah, I think the distribution of Black Dragon Records was not as good anymore. This pressing here, by the way, is good old Roadster Records. So in America, ManillaRoad did that album by themselves, and yeah, here you can order some stuff. While it was, of course, here in Europe, Black Dragon. Black Dragon was important for ManillaRoad, for sure. Yeah, and my next one, I know you will say, hey, it's you can't do that. you already had Mystification and Invasion and Out of the Abyss, and now you are coming with To Kill a King. Are you crazy? No, I'm not. I see it as a fan now, and not that I play drums on that album. It doesn't matter. This album was, for me, is the complete return. This is the last of the three last albums. And yeah, and I can tell you that a fourth one, if Mark would still be with us, we maybe would just work on that, would have been even more ManillaRoad trademark style. I heard some ideas that he played them to me before he died. So yeah, but this album, to open up this album with a, I think 10 or 11 minute song, To Kill a King, was so brave. And this was the first album where ManillaRoad had a single in the wake, really a song for everybody, but not as funny as Feeling Free Again on Crystal Logic. No, a real serious good song for everybody. There was a single pressed even that was sold, but also there was a giveaway for the people of Wacken or something like that. Yeah, this album really brought ManillaRoad even further. It was, I think, released in 2017. Yeah, and yeah, for sure, because we played on our US tour, we played the song To Kill a King and In the Wake live. And yeah, this album should be mentioned as much as the old stuff from the 80s. That's why it's here. So now we have my top 4. Number 4 is Metal, the second album of ManillaRoad. Yeah, and you can hear what's going on, or what will go on in the next years. It also contains one of my top 3 favorite songs of Manilla Road, Cage of Mirrors. This song, I wouldn't care if on this album would be 4 times just this long song, because it's so amazing. And yeah, we played that live. We played it a little more heavy, but still with the old feeling. And people loved it and they freaked out because it's heavy as shit. Of course, the production is a little thin on this old Manilla Road albums. The studio they recorded in, Miller Studio, improved with the band. So Mark told me, well, whenever we recorded an album, they were able to buy some new equipment. So Manilla Road financed the studio, which was in the end able to produce a very good sounding album like the Circus Maximus. So these albums paid for that. That's really funny. Yeah, and then of course Enter the Warrior, Defender, the Queen of the Black Host became a hit in later years too. So yeah, this is, the Invasion was really spacey hard rock with some, like you say, proto metal today. Maybe even comparable to some of the new wave of British heavy metal bands on the other side of the pond. So, but this was a step further for sure, and you just need to listen to that album. Far Side of the Sun is again on it. You can choose if it's a better version than on Invasion. Okay, my number 3 mostly is your number 1. I know that. I'm not sorry about it that this one is my number 3 and not my number 1. I love that album to death, and I have it since Black Dragon did that reissue on blue vinyl in the 80s, I think 87 or 86. So it's not that I, like most fans of my age or a little younger, explored it when it was reissued in the 2000s, or bought a second-hand copy of that Black Dragon Records album in the 90s or so. It was weird. My first album was, I won't tell that now because they will come. But yeah, I heard Randy Fox albums with him on drums first, and then there was this straightforward heavy metal, epic metal going on, and I was wondering. I didn't know that this is the original Roadster pressing, but the Black Dragon pressing, it was not crystal clear to me that it was a reissue, or I didn't know that there once was a different lineup, because Metal and Invasion was completely unknown here in Europe. A friend of me had it, and he made a cassette with these albums for me. And for many years I didn't believe that it's Manilla Road. I thought he would have recorded another band on that cassette, and he was just crazy. This can't be Manilla Road, because I knew them from the mid-80s stuff, and this was, felt impossible that this is Manilla Road. And this was my first impression of this album. Then we have this fat intro, and then Necropolis is so thin. From the sound. This was shocking. Before I loved the album, there were some shock moments, and then Dreams of Ashketon, of course. When I heard this song, unfortunately it's the last one on this album, this was the moment when, oh, okay, I need to play that song again and again and again and again. And then I noticed the history about this. This is an older album, and yeah, and then I really loved it, and it's my number 3. And yeah, but yeah, the last 3 albums are quite, let's say number 3 and 2 are on the same level nearly to me. But yeah, this of course is my number 2. Open the Gates has also a special meaning, because yeah, it was my second album of Manilla Road, and this fitted pretty much to the one I already knew, which is my number 1. And yeah, I was speechless when I heard it, because it was something new. I was into, yeah, always looking for the next fast and heavy band. I mean, with Venom and then Celtic Frost and then Slayer, and yeah, but I always was open for example, for German metal, which we were pretty late with being offering thrash or speed. And even the scene was already strong. We here in Germany, we still had some typical sounding traditional heavy metal bands like Sudden Death. I just see that album here. Yeah, I was open to that too. But Manilla Road became instantly one of my favorite bands, also because of the drumming, and this because they offered an own world. It's hard to say that in English. They were always more than a band to me when I was a teenager. And then you have this cover artwork, and yeah, what else do you need? The idea with the bonus 12-inch EP is great because the album would have been way too long for a single vinyl. I think we can handle it more these days, but back then it was the best decision to do that. And of course, yeah, that's my original pressing from back in the days. It looks a little weird. This was always happening with Black Dragon anyway, so this just needs to be glued. We have this inner sleeve that is so iconic, and this maybe wouldn't be there if it wouldn't be a double LP. So I'm thankful for that. And here's the three things that the three triangles that showed up here the first time. So here, oh my god, this looks like shit. That's from my childhood, when I was 15 years old in 1986. My number one, the Deluge. And yeah, I have a gatefold from Black Dragon Records here. No, I have a better version in there. But I picked out my original from back then. And I doubt that there is still music on that disc. I played it so often. Yeah, this was my first album. And yeah, the truth is that I had a TV show when I was a teenager, a heavy metal TV show called Heavy Metal Battle. You can check out this channel to find a documentary movie I made after I noticed that I was the first one offering a heavy metal TV show here in Germany, because Tele5 was some weeks later than me, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, and the record companies sent me albums to talk about them, to make a review or a critic or however you call that, while I'm doing that live TV show. And Black Dragon was one of the first supporting me, and there were always, when I came home from school, all these parcels in front of the door from the house of my parents. And one was this one from Black Dragon Records, and I put it on. The first I heard was Dementia. Yeah, and I was already playing in a band called Sudden Darkness. I was not too bad for a 15-year-old, and was able to play fast, and even some, not just the 4/4 things, also a little more complicated. But this, I didn't understand that. I thought, okay, there's two options now. First is that this is absolute genius, or the other option is that that's total bullshit. I noticed pretty fast that it's the first version here, that it's unbelievable great what they are doing here. And the Dementia, by the way, was one of the few songs where I told Mark I don't want to play that because I could do something in the beginning of that song, but I can't really cover or play exactly the same that Randy was playing on here. This is impossible for me because of different techniques. I think in America the many drummers learned it in high school with that paradiddle stuff and marching drum stuff, and there's a lot going on in this, and I never learned that at all. So all that what these many American drummers played with left, right, left, and stuff like that, I played that just as singles. Even it's more maybe physically a little more exhausting, but I never had a problem with that. So but this song I didn't we never played that. I think from this album we did a lot of songs, but we also did not my favorite one, the title track, the Deluge. I asked for it and I could play it now without any problems. Or Taken by Force would be another one we didn't play. So if ManillaRoad was still existing, I would beg to play some more songs from this album. This is my favorite album, and I'm really happy that I share that with Mark Shelton. It's his favorite album too. He told me several times. I think he said that in many interviews, and this is where he wanted to go with the band. And I think looking back, he had not mixed feelings about getting much heavier, but when he was looking back at this part of the career, this was his favorite. There were some heavy elements, heavier than on Open the Gates, but not really thrash like on Up from the Crypt from the next one, Mystification, or even Whitechapel from Out of the Abyss. So this is really progressive. I mean, this song, The Deluge, is pretty long and with different parts. And Mark always told me here, everybody thinks that epic metal means long songs, and he says that's not true. Some of our favorite songs are 2.5-minute tracks, and here's one of those, Divine Victim, that we played nearly in every show because it's a fan favorite, 2.5 minutes, but still it's epic metal, like Necropolis from Crystal Logic. Yeah, and of course this is my favorite cover artwork too, so this is the full package for me, the Deluge. I love the sound, even it's weird with a headphone, because it's a 3-piece band, and Mark didn't play many rhythm guitars like you do it today. Today a band with one guitar player goes in the studio and the guy plays 4 tracks of the same rhythm guitar, 2 on the left channel, 2 on the right channel, then he plays some leads and some more additions. If you listen to that album, you can hear the drums are stereo, the toms here and the cymbals, it's completely white stereo, but bass, guitar and most of the vocals are most of the time mono nearly. They are in the middle of that spectrum, and there's this stereo drums, so it still feels really stereo, and it's interesting that it works at all. I'm doing some engineering too, and what I hate most is a band with one guitar player. Where shall I put him? Then I prefer the Van Halen version with bass here and guitar here, but it's not possible all the time. So yeah, that was my 10 ManillaRoad favorites, and the bonus that cannot be named here. So again, we have on 10. No, that's not true. Where's it? Oh, this was my 10 here. My number 10, Mysterium. Number 9, Out of the Abyss. Number 8. Number 7. Number 6. Number 5. Maybe you need that still. Number 4, Metal. The number 3 that mostly is the number 1 of most of you, I guess. The number 2 and the goddamn winner is the Deluge. Yeah. The bonus of the bonus would be the Circus Maximus. You can respect it that it was not a ManillaRoad album and treat it like that, but after all these years it is a ManillaRoad album. But yes, it's not Mark only singing on that, so it should have been a place in here too, but yeah, for these reasons I didn't consider in adding it to this top 10. So I hope you don't think I'm too crazy, but that's my personal opinion, and yeah, maybe except of 2 of the newer ones. I think that's a very European view on things. I guess in France, Chords of Chaos would be on number 2 or 3. Of course, I don't like it too much because of the drum computer, though no need to say that. And like I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of the 2000 albums. It was always hard to tell that, to talk about that with Mark. It is like that, but yeah. So this is my top 10, and there's a lot of other cool stuff around it, like this first demo called Underground, on vinyl, or this After Midnight Live thing is pretty cool, or on Record Store Day. Last year we had one of our last shows on vinyl live from Up the Hammers Festival. So there's a lot to explore if you are not already within the world of Manilla Road. So I hope this European view on things helped you a little. Yeah, check out the American guys. I think I can't remember the name of the channel. It was not Source of Deluge, Sea of Tranquility or something, I think is the name of the channel. They made me do this video here today. Thank you.